Hello YouTube, it's Rom from Ramen Noodles TCG, and last weekend was the KC Cup, and I had a free weekend, so I decided to grind, and I managed to get 291st place after 100 games with a 61% win rate and a max win streak of 9. This took me about 15 hours of gameplay across all 3 days. I played for about 7 hours on day 1, 6 hours on day 2, and about an hour and a half on day 3. All of this was done with this Beetrooper list. So for playing 15 hours of Beetrooper, I feel like I have enough experience to explain the deck properly. I was actually struggling to learn this before, but playing Stage 1 with Beetrooper really got me comfortable with the deck, and I was able to take on Stage 2 with my Beetrooper strategy. So without further ado, let's get into the deck list itself. So as with any Duel Links deck, it's important to talk about the skill. Beetrooper Raid is an incredibly powerful skill because it foolishes 2 insects, including a Beetrooper monster, and then gives you Beetrooper formation for free. This gives Beetrooper an actual 1-card combo, because in the TCG, you would lack 1-card combos. The best thing it has is like a 1.5 card combo with a starter plus any insects, which is a lot better in for Duel Links because the 1-card combo is good. So the second part of the skill is incredible for going second, because if your opponent controls a monster, you gain 3,000 life points, and then you get to add a high-level insect from deck or grave to hand, and then set a Beetrooper spell trap. Or you can use it going first if you control an insect monster with 3,000 or more attack. So this is important to set up the counter trap to play around Nibiru, but going second, you can also break boards with this by searching extenders. So what you want to be dumping off of the skill is Scout Buggy, because Scout Buggy summons another copy of itself on summon. So you can formation its back, and that's a link to before you commit to anything, which is very, very good. The other card you want to be sending off of this is Resonance Insect, because when it's banished, it dumps an insect monster, and if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it searches a high-level insect, which is some of the most important cards in your deck, which I'll talk about a little later. Goki Pole is what you want to be dumping off of Resonance Insect, because it searches a level 4 insect, and if the insect you search was a normal monster, you can summon it and then pop a monster. I decided not to play the normal monster because I didn't want the extra brick. Breaking boards is pretty cool, but I have another tech in here that does a similar job. So, speaking of normal summons, Resonance Insect is the one normal summon, Retaliating Sea is the other. Essentially, it's also a hand trap, which is pretty cool. If your opponent activates a spell that would summon something, let's say a fusion spell, a ritual spell, or something that has an optional effect to summon like Exo Sister Pax, Retaliating Sea summons itself and then is Macrocosmos. But if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it searches a small earth insect monster. The targets for this are Resonance Insect, Goki Pole, and Supply Soldier. Now, Supply Soldier is technically a hand trap that negates insect monster effects from your opponent, but it's just an extender that lets you fusion summon, which is pretty cool. This is part of your combos, and this is what lets you make the fusions. So speaking of the fusions, let's talk about the extra deck for a bit. Cruel Saturnus is the combo fusion. You make this first, and it searches a Beetrooper card, and then when an insect is banished, you get to revive a banished Beetrooper. This is important for your combo lines. I'll talk about that later. Heavy Cavalry is part of your end board. It has destruction protection from card effects, and you can target 2 monsters on the field as a quick effect, including an insect, and banish them. Yeah, this is part of your end board. It's very good. And Absolute Hercules is just a towers, and that's helpful for closing out games. Let's keep going with the extra deck, because I feel like that is the best way to start explaining the game plan here. So, the entire strategy is in service of our man, Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. It has 2 effects. You can only use one of them in a turn. It tributes an insect monster to either special a Beetrooper from deck or boost its own attack by 2,000. And it has protection while it is at its original attack or less. It's got targeting protection and card effect destruction protection. So you want to be summoning Invincible Atlas and then setting the counter trap Fly-In Sting as part of your end board. The skill will set you Fly-In Sting. This is how you beat Nibiru. In order to climb up into Invincible Atlas, we have our little links here. Armor Horn gives you an extra normal summon, and it revives itself from the graveyard by banishing 3 insects. This is one of the ways you trigger Resonance Insects. And it banishes itself when it leaves the field, so this is what you want to be bringing back off of Cruel Saturnus to get maximum follow-up, which is pretty cool. Speaking of follow-up, we have Inzektor Pico Falena. On summon, she discards a card and then equips an insect monster from the deck to a different insect you control. This is important for your combos because it triggers Retaliating Sea and Resonance Insect when they're sent as equips, which is pretty neat. There's also another cool play I'll talk about with this later, but it also shuffles insects into the deck and draws a card. This is important because it's the main way of recycling your stuff. You can recycle your non-Beetrooper insects and your extra deck cards to accentuate your grind game here. Yeah, this is why Beetrooper has a pretty solid grind game, because you can recycle all your stuff. Traptrix Adipus is for breaking boards and just general link climbing. It negates face-up cards your opponent controls. This is important for breaking stuff like the branded board, where you're under the pressure of Masquerade, and it deals with Quiritis and just the annoying stuff from your opponent. Yeah. So, going back to the main deck, we talked about the starters, now we can talk about some more extenders. We have Stinglancer, who is essentially a Bestial. It shuffles it returns an insect from your graveyard and a monster in your opponent's graveyard to the bottom of the deck, and summons itself. If this is interrupted, it still summons itself, you just have to legally be able to target things, which is pretty neat. So it's important in the mirror, because if you Stinglancer and your opponent Stinglancers, both Stinglancers will summon. Yeah, that's very important to note. And on summon, it searches a Beetrooper spell trap, which is good for extension. We play multiple of this because it's good for the grind game, and you want to draw it. It's one of the main ways of playing through hand traps, because if your opponent hits you with something like a Crow or a Bell on your formation, you're able to extend with Stinglancer. It's also good to contest the branded board, because you can check branded in red with Stinglancer. We have Assault Roller, which is a level 4 Beetrooper name that summons itself by banishing an insect from the grave. It's searchable off of Goki Pole, and it's just like a generally good extender. Scale Bomber is another generally good extender. It's an extender that also has an interruption effect. This is kind of optional, but I think it's still worth playing. The Ghost Ogre style effect doesn't come up too much, but it's just a solid extender, and it is a Beetrooper card. So, yeah. For the final extender, we have Mighty Neptune. This guy's really big, and it summons itself by shuffling banished insects into the main deck. And it floats when your opponent removes it from the field by a card effect during the main phase. This is really difficult for some decks to out, especially a deck like Traptrix. When you set up Mighty Neptune and Invincible Atlas, your opponent will have trouble cracking the board. Also, Fly and Sting can reset itself while you have Mighty Neptune up, which is pretty important. We're also playing Doomdozer as a generic insect extender. This is just a big guy that summons itself by banishing insects from the graveyard. Not everybody plays this, but I like it. It was important back in the TCG days, and I still think it's decent in Duel Links. Moving on to some generic insects, we have Traptrix Myrmelio. So for some end boards, you want to be setting up the counter trap, or sorry, another trap card alongside your counter trap. So you can search Myrmelio off of Goki Pole and then normal summon it to search Traptrix Trapple Nightmare, which is pretty cool. We have Scary Moth. This is one of your other end board pieces. It's just Winda. This card is really broken, and it just kind of wins games. I'll show the combo off later, but it is getting limited to 1, so yeah, we might not be playing this for too much longer. We're playing Kumongus the Sticky String Kaiju. This is searchable off of the skill, and searchable Kaijus are really good. You can just Kaiju over your opponent's stuff, and then play the game. Insector Hopper is important for an OTK line. Essentially, if you equip Insector Hopper to Invincible Atlas with Pico Falena, you can use the Insector Hopper effect to let the Invincible Atlas attack directly. Invincible Atlas can boost its attack to 5,000 via its own effects, and then use Strength for game. Pretty good stuff indeed. So for one of the bricks, although it's not really a brick, you can use it for like fusion stuff. We have a Light Flapper. So Light Flapper is what you want to be summoning off of Invincible Atlas. This will recover Beetroopers from Grave and Banishment. This is what gives you more follow-up and more fusion material for your fusions. And for these spells and traps, I'm on a lineup of Board Breakers. I like Board Breakers in this deck because hand traps don't feel super impactful, especially because we're on 30. So I don't feel like I have enough space to play enough hand traps to see them all reliably. So for the Breaker lineup, I decided to go for 3 copies of Book of Eclipse, 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, and 1 Final Bringer of End Times. So Final Bringer is the only way to deal with back row outside of Descent, which is searchable, but it takes some setup. So I liked having Final Bringer to diversify my interactions here. Droplet is really good. It helps you break boards, and you have free stuff to send, such as like a Spent Formation, and just generally sending insects from hand isn't that bad. This deck is fairly resource efficient, so we can afford the discards. And Book of Eclipse is one of the most broken cards in the formats. You can flip over a branded board and just kind of go off. And lastly, we have our 2 Beetrooper spells here. Landing is a fusion spell that recycles itself on subsequent turns. And Descent summons a token and pops it back row. So yeah, that is the deck. Let's get into some combos so I can teach you that Elite B knowledge. So now we have a combo here. So as I talked about earlier, you want to send Scout Buggy and Resonance Insect. So we're going to start off by activating Formation here, special summoning the Scout Buggy. We can go Scout Buggy effects to special summon a second Scout Buggy from the deck. We are going to... So it depends on what line you want to go for. You can bait an interaction by going for Armor Horn early, or you can go for a more greedy line by going for Pico straight away. We already have multiple Resonance Insects in rotation, so I think we're going to go for Armor Horn first. We can save our regular normal summon for later. So we're going to go Armor Horn effect, normal summoning the Resonance Insect. We're going to link off for Traptrix Oedipus here, just because it's a link 3 and we want a link climb. Now we go for Resonance Insect. We should probably grab... so to get the fusions in play, we can get Supply Soldier online here. Let's do that, actually. Yeah, let's go for Supply Soldier here. So we're going to go for Armor Horn. Banish 3. And we're going to chain Supply Soldier. Armor Horn. Gonna go double Rezo, send some bees from deck to grave. So we're gonna send, obviously we sent Goki Pole here. And then in this case, I think we actually might go for Mighty Neptune. Yeah, Mighty Neptune might be correct here. So grab that for later. So we're gonna go Goki Pole effect. We're gonna grab Assault Roller. Yeah, let's go for Assault Roller here. We go for Invincible Atlas here. Oh. So now we can activate the skill. We're going to not add a card from deck to hand, we're going to set Fly Instinct. So this has insulated us from Nibiru right now. So we're going to go for Supply Soldier here. I guess we're going to go for Cruel Saturnus here. Now we're going to fuse these two off. Go for Cruel Saturnus. We're going to go Cruel Saturnus effect. We're going to add ourselves Beetrooper Landing because we want the other fusion in rotation. Now we can special summon the Assault Roller by banishing an insect from grave. And remember, guys, you want to be banishing the main deck insects instead of the extra deck insects. So let's banish. I guess we can banish Goki Pole. So now we're going to go Cruel Saturnus. We're going to bring back Armor Horn here. So once you bring back the Armor Horn, it'll go to Graveyard again, so then we can use it in the future here. So we're going to go for Atlas here. Attributing the Ass Roller here. Going for Light Flapper. Light Flapper effects. We're going to add back Mighty Neptune and Sting Lancer. So we're going to do that here. We can go for the fusion here. Yeah, we go for Heavy Cavalry here. And then we'd probably normal summon Traptrix Mermelio. Go Mermelio effect to search a Traptrix Trapple Nightmare. Then we'd set our back row, and then we would have tons of follow-up and a really strong board with a bunch of interactions. So yeah. Okay, let's show off a line where we don't have Resonance Insect. So here we're going to obviously dump the Scout Buggy, we're going to dump Resonance Insect. Let's go for this. Gonna go Formation here. Da Buggy. Gonna go for Da Buggy. We're probably gonna banish the Assault Roller here. Rezo effect. I think from this position, off of the Goki Pole, we're gonna grab Retaliating Sea. Yeah, let's grab Retaliating Sea. We can go for Armor Horn here. Armor Horn, normal, the Retaliating Sea. So from here, we can go for Inzektor Pico Falena. Grabbing C and Pico. We're gonna ditch the Doom Dozer probably. Equipped to Armor Horn. We're gonna go for another Resonance Insect. We're gonna grab Supply Soldier off of this. We have some insects in Graveyard, we can shuffle some back. So we're gonna Pico Shuffle. You always shuffle the Goki pull back. And you always generally want Retaliating Sea back in deck, just so you can like use it as a hand trap later on. Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. Let's do that, and I guess we'll chain the Supply Soldier here. Might as well. Alright, so now we're gonna go for Atlas. We're gonna go Resonance Insect here. We're gonna grab the Scary Moth, because we didn't show off the Scary Moth line earlier, and I wanted to do that. So we're gonna go for the skill. Setting Fly and Sting. Now we're gonna special summon Armor Horn here. Banishing 1, 2, 3. Let's banish, I guess, these guys. Sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's dump probably Sting Lancer here, yeah. Alright, so we're gonna fuse. So we're not gonna fuse off the Armor Horn here, because we want that for later. Because we want to use the effect of Cruel Saturnus to bring back the Armor Horn, because that's the best form of follow-up we have in this deck. So we're gonna add ourselves probably, I guess, we can really add anything at this point. Let's just grab, I guess we'll grab, I don't know, Sting Lancer here. So now we're going to go for Atlas. Tribute Armor Horn, Special Light Flapper. So we're going to go effect of Light Flapper, effect of, well, I guess we're going to go Light Flapper, add back Mighty Neptune, and Scout Buggy. And we're going to go Saturnus, bring back the Armor Horn. Okay. And now we're going to activate our fusion spell. Just for the record, if we didn't draw the fusion spell, we would have searched it off of Saturnus and then added back the Sting Lancer off of the Light Flapper, just to clarify. Might as well get some shuffling in, so we can shuffle back some main deck guys into the main deck here with the Mighty Neptune, and then tribute summon Scary Moth. Set up back row, and then pass. So yeah, we have the board here. So I guess we could stare at the ranking screen while we talk about some matchups. So as far as matchups, Tachyon is okay, because we can Humongous tribute over the Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. And we have stuff like Book of Eclipse to flip stuff down. The Tachyon matchup is one where Inzektor Hopper comes up a lot, because a lot of times they'll just have an unaffected monster that we can't deal with, because they'll set up 2 Xyz monsters and then make the one guy unaffected. So you can Hopper OTK through that, which is pretty neat. Branded folds to Retaliating Sea. They can play through it sometimes, but their lines become a little bit weaker and they have less follow-up. So playing into a branded board, you want to be holding Sting Lancer to check branded in red, because that is the main piece of interaction that the branded player has. Outside of the Masquerade and the Mirror Jade, which Masquerade is just kind of burning you over and over again. You can Kaiju the Mirror Jade if you want to, if you already have Sting Lancer. Other than that, you can just kind of try to play through it. Adipus is the point where you will force interaction by negating things. That's pretty important. In the branded matchup, you also tend to go for the Inzector Hopper line to kill. That seems pretty relevant there. As far as Trap Tricks, this matchup can be a little bit difficult, especially against a good Trap Tricks player who doesn't end on Sarah, because Trap Tricks Sarah is incredibly vulnerable. She's like the big target where you can OTK by attacking into her twice, because Trap Trip Garden protects the Sarah, right? So if the opponent gets rid of their own Sarah and ends up going for Abyss Dweller and Gallant Brannock to search Nibiru, then you'll be in a big trouble, because it's very difficult to deal with Nibiru going second as Beetrooper, especially if you already draw the trap. So you're able to negate Nibiru with Fly Instinct, setting it off the skill, but that means you have to set it off the skill, meaning you can't grab anything else. So you can't grab Sting Lancer or any of your other extenders, so you just kind of have to hard open those if you want to play around Nibiru going second, which is a big difficulty for this deck. Some of the combo lines I showed were not the most efficient at playing around Nib, but I mean, Beetrooper optimally can play around Nib. And I was playing through Nib in the KC Cup a bit, so yeah. The generic one that you want to be linking off the Nib token for is Trap Tricks Adipus. You want to be saving Armor Horn so you can link into Adipus after you get Nib. That's the idea. Because once you get into Invincible Atlas, you're able to set the Fly Instinct off the skill and then be insulated. So there's that. As far as other matchups, Punk is... I mean, the Punk board is just so ridiculous that not even a Kaiju or Breakers can stop them. At least with the Tachyon version that sets up Transmigration. They have like multiple negates, and it's just too hard to crack. You need multiple Breakers layered on top of each other to even think about cracking the Punk board, and even then it's probably not enough, because Amazing Dragon will just bounce everything. But that deck cannot go second to save its life. It's just not good enough at that. So yeah, there's that. I guess we can talk about the ban list now. So the ban list limited Retaliating Sea to 1 and put Scary Moth to 1. Honestly, I don't mind losing Scary Moth. I'm perfectly happy to see this go. This card is really dumb. So I'm glad we're rid of it. So I think we need to, going into the next format, we can bump up Resonance Insect to 3, because this effectively does the same thing for the combo as Retaliating Sea. The only extra things that this can search that Resonance Insect can't, or sorry, Retaliating Sea and Resonance Insect both search the Supply Soldier, but Retaliating Sea has far worse targets than Resonance Insect, because this is how you get to all of your high-level guys. So Resonance Insect is better anyway. Retaliating Sea is a good hand trap, though. So, yeah. There's that. We'd probably cut Scary Moth, play 3 Resonance Insects, 1 Retaliating Sea as a searchable hand trap. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. Maybe we'd find room for the 3rd Droplet. If you want more level 4s, or like more low-level insects, you can play the Battle Wasp guys. Sting the Poison. You can play Sting the Poison, along with the rest of the Battle Wasp crew. I think it's Pin the Bullseye is a generic insect extender if we need it. There is Arbalest the Rapid Fire. This card is Wolfbark for insects. It's not bad. I was playing this at one point. It was alright. So, I mean, yeah, we do have a fair bit of options here as far as stuff we can play if we want to increase our starter count. There's one other card I was looking at. I guess there's some extenders. Aztekipede. This card here, Aztekipede. Essentially, this is just extra copies of Assault Roller that is not a Beetrooper name. So it's not searchable off of Cruel Saturnus, but it is searchable off of Goki Pole. And then obviously we have our normal monsters here. Goki Boar is the main one, because that's the one in the art of Goki Boar. You know, you could be playing this to pop. I just didn't want the extra brick, but some people like this, because the removal is good. I don't argue with that. So yeah, that is the deck. If you guys enjoyed the deck profile, I'd appreciate a like, and subscribe to the channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.